Welcome to another episode of Shadows of the Tarot. The alarm blares, pulling me from sleep and into another day of my monotonous routine. Sometimes I wonder if changing the alarm sound might make a difference. Maybe it would be a small spark of novelty in my predictable life. But, as always, life is what it is. I roll out of bed, shuffle to the kitchen to make breakfast, take the dog for a walk, and settle into my daily ritual, writing my blog. Today's entry will be another oracle reading. Lately, I've noticed more comments and a growing number of followers. I suppose that's something. Maybe my words do have an impact on someone out there. Still, a lingering wish gnaws at me. If only I could change something, anything in my own life. Elise, as I picture her, is a vision of grace and mystique. She stands at an average height, her figure both slender and softly curvaceous. Her long flowing blonde hair cascades down her back in loose, natural waves, catching the light as if spun from gold. Her striking green eyes hold an almost otherworldly depth, a blend of wisdom and mystery framed by dark, luscious lashes. Her fair, smooth skin glows with a gentle radiance, often enhanced by minimal makeup that accentuates her natural beauty. Elise's full, soft lips, painted in deep reds or berries, add a bold, confident touch to her otherwise ethereal presence. She moves with effortless elegance, her flowing bohemian outfits and jingling rings and bracelets completing her mystical aura. Scarves and shawls drape her shoulders, adding texture and color to her enchanting style. This weekend, I'll see Tammy. She's off on an adventure I can only dream of, backpacking through Europe. I admire her courage. I've always been too fearful to leave my comfort zone, especially the thought of stepping onto a plane. Tammy, however, radiates excitement about the unknown. We gathered recently to wish her farewell. Although she's only gone for a month, the excitement was palpable. It felt as if her journey belonged to all of us. Her boldness, her escape, brought a shared sense of possibility. Today, Tammy called me from France. Her voice bubbled with enthusiasm as she described her adventures. She mentioned she'd found a gift for me in an antique shop. With Tammy, surprises are always intriguing. Her choices are delightfully unpredictable, yet she promised this one would be useful and enjoyable. Knowing my love of antiques, I can't wait to see what she's chosen. But for now, I'll have to wait another week for her return and the mystery to unfold. Tammy called to let me know she'd be back on the 7th and planned to stop by to give me my gift. When she arrived, she was practically glowing with excitement, her words tumbling over each other as she described her adventures. She had hundreds of photos to share, so many that after a while, I started to feel my attention waver. Some pictures were stunning, capturing breathtaking landscapes and charming European streets, but part of me felt a pang of jealousy. I hated that feeling, the gnawing envy when I knew I should be happy for her. And I was. I truly was. But still, I couldn't help but wish I had her courage to step out of my bubble. Through it all, I kept wondering about my gift. After another cup of coffee and another 100 photos, Tammy finally reached into her backpack, fumbling for something. "Elise, I almost forgot to give you this," she said, pulling out a small metal box. Her eyes sparkled as she handed it to me. "I found this in a little antique shop tucked away in the back streets of Paris. As soon as I saw it, I thought of you." I opened the box, and inside was a tarot deck. But not just any deck. This one was unlike anything I'd ever seen. The cards felt heavy with history, their intricate designs alive with mystery. "Wow," I whispered, running my fingers over the edges. "Thank you, Tammy. These are amazing." I smiled, already envisioning them on my shelf next to my oracle decks. But Tammy had other ideas. "No, Elise, you should use them," she insisted. "Use them? For what?" "You know, for readings. You already do oracle readings on your blog. Why not try tarot? You could become a famous tarot reader," she said, her enthusiasm uncontainable. I laughed, shaking my head. "Yeah, right. I'm serious. Your mum was an incredible tarot reader. She had clients constantly coming and going, and she did really well for herself. Why can't you do the same? Because I'm not my mum, I replied, my voice quieter now. Tammy didn't back down. No, you're not. But that doesn't mean you don't have the gift. Don't you remember how fascinated you were with the cards as a kid? You've been blogging about oracle readings for ages, and your followers are growing. Why not take it a step further? Offer private readings. Charge a small fee. What's the harm in trying? I hesitated, the idea both terrifying and intriguing. I guess I could give it a try. Of course you can. If it doesn't work, no big deal. But if it does, well, it could change your life. Her words hung in the air, and I felt a flicker of something, hope maybe. Tammy pulled me into a warm hug, her confidence in me unwavering. I know you've got this, she said, kissing my cheek before heading out the door. As I stared at the tarot deck, a strange sense of destiny began to unfold within me. After Tammy had gone, I gingerly took the tarot deck out of its box. The box itself was battered, its once bright metal dulled with years of dust and neglect. Determined to restore it, I gave it a thorough clean, even using Brasso to polish the surface. To my surprise, the box gleamed, its intricate engravings catching the light like a forgotten treasure. The cards inside were remarkably well preserved for their age. One by one, I carefully laid them out, running my fingers over their intricate designs. As I examined each card, memories of my mother's teachings came flooding back. She had lived her life guided by these very symbols, always trusting in their wisdom. Growing up in her world of rituals and readings had been both fascinating and stifling. I had always felt the tarot was too intense for me, too overwhelming in its depth and precision. That's why I'd stuck to oracle decks. They felt lighter, less demanding. But now, holding these cards in my hands, something stirred. Maybe it was time to learn, to face what I'd avoided for so long. After a moment's hesitation, I carefully returned the cards to their box and placed it on my shelf alongside my oracle decks. Yet, as I did, it felt wrong. It was as if the cards were protesting, their energy palpable, calling out to me to pick them up again. That night, the dreams began. I found myself running through a dense, shadowy forest, the air thick with smoke. When I glanced over my shoulder, the forest was ablaze, fiery tendrils consuming the trees in a terrifying roar. My heart pounded as I sprinted faster, desperate to escape the flames. When I woke, my body was drenched in sweat, my throat parched with an unquenchable thirst. For the first time in years, I began sleeping through my alarm. My carefully curated routine unraveled, leaving me disoriented and uneasy. It was as if something deep within me had shifted, a crack in the foundation of my predictable existence. This wasn't just a change in my sleep or my habits. It felt cosmic, like the universe itself had turned its gaze upon me, demanding that I step into the unknown. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew the tarot cards were at the heart of it. Eventually, I found myself opening the antique box to do my first reading. As I shuffled the cards, I felt an intimate connection with them, as though they had always been mine, waiting for me. My mother had always emphasized the importance of cleansing and consecrating a new deck before using it, making it truly your own. I missed my mother deeply, especially moments like this when I longed for her wisdom and guidance. She had passed 10 years ago, and now I had to rely on memories and the energy I felt lingering around me. Determined to honor her teachings, I gathered what I needed. For my bathroom collection, I chose a smooth, round shell. I retrieved some incense blocks from my drawer, snipped a few dried wormwood leaves from the plant outside, and added a feather I'd found on a recent dog walk. Finally, I filled a small crystal bowl with water. With these elements, I cleansed and consecrated the cards, breathing in their energy as they became truly mine. Holding the deck in my hands, I closed my eyes and meditated. The vision from my dreams returned, but this time, it was different. I wasn't running through the forest in terror. Instead, I walked barefoot, the air calm and serene. I followed a stream to fill my bowl with river water. The peacefulness of the vision was a stark contrast to the nightmares I'd endured before. When I finally shuffled the cards, I decided to draw just one, as I often did with my oracle decks. It felt right. I closed my eyes, fanned the cards out, and hovered my hand above them, sensing their energy. My hand stopped over one card, and I chose it. The Fool. The card's meaning was clear. I was at the beginning of a new journey. Tammy's words echoed in my mind, and for the first time, I allowed myself to believe in her advice. Tentatively, I began offering tarot readings on my blog. To my surprise, my blog gained traction quickly. Requests started pouring in, and I soon found myself reading for people regularly. Encouraged by this momentum, I decided to start a YouTube channel. My concept was simple: focus on one card at a time, sharing its meanings and nuances while getting to know the deck better myself. The channel took off faster than I could have imagined. Subscribers poured in, and the more I handled the cards, the more confident I became in interpreting their messages. I told Tammy about my growing success, and she just laughed. "Of course you could do it," she said. "You always had it in you. You just needed the confidence to try." Still, I hesitated, unsure if I was truly ready. Then I did another reading. This time, the Fool appeared again in the present position, just as it had before. The message was unmistakable. This was no coincidence. I was on the right path, and I needed to trust myself. With renewed determination, I decided to expand further. Tammy, ever the cheerleader, found small fairs where we could set up a stall together. She sold her pottery creations, while I offered tarot readings. Word spread quickly. In just a month, people began seeking me out specifically at these events. Tammy and I worked seamlessly as a team, and I even printed business cards to hand out. Each reading I gave felt like a step closer to something bigger, something I'd always been meant to do. For the first time in a long while, I felt alive, no longer stuck in my rut, but finally walking a path of my own making. Elise radiated warmth and kindness, her nurturing aura instantly putting those around her at ease. She had an innate curiosity about the world and a profound sense of empathy that shone through in her tarot readings, allowing her to connect deeply with others. Despite her gentle demeanor, Elise carried a quiet determination to succeed, driven by a yearning to create a meaningful life for herself. Her journey was one of self-discovery, as she worked to overcome lingering insecurities and embrace her own strength. With each step forward, she developed a growing sense of confidence, especially when surrounded by people she felt she could genuinely help. In those moments, Elise's true essence came alive, a blend of compassion, intuition, and unwavering resolve. Remember to like, subscribe, and share to others, so you don't miss an episode.